Hey everybody, it's Tara Green and I'm here in Sedona, Arizona. A bit late here, not many hours before the eclipse actually. Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, I've just had some complications with my computer. So here we are, Aries solar eclipse at 9 degrees and no change. It means no minutes. Had it on March 29th, 2025, 6:58 a.m. is when it peaks in Washington, D.C. So that's the location that I've set this for, and it has 7 degrees Aries. You can see the sun and the moon will just be rising in Washington at that time. So it represents a brand new beginning, a new fiery beginning, a passionate and independent, impatient, impulsive, sounds very much like how Donald Trump does everything, fiery warrior, independent, entrepreneurial, new beginning. So Aries has no patience and it's angry and it's ruled by Mars. And so Mars is down here at 22 degrees of Cancer, where it is not strong. It's in detriment because it's opposite the sign that it's exalted in, which is Capricorn. So the ruler of this is rather weak and it's underwater. And there is I keep wanting to use the word plethora of Pisces energies here. You can see this all in this 12th house here. So in this specific chart for Washington, D.C., Ceres, the great mother, Saturn, kind of the great father, can be the tough, disciplining father, the patriarchy. The North Node at 27, Pisces, Venus retrograde at 28, Neptune at 29. They're all very tightly together at the very last, most karmic degrees of the zodiac, and Mercury retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries. This is very, very potent stuff. But for the Washington, D.C. chart, there's a lot of hidden things going on that are not visible out front. Like Aries is like, here I am. And the keyword for Aries is I am. And it can be selfish, and it is also the name of God. In the Bible, God said, I am that I am. And so the keyword of going into this big Aries age, because this is the last time that Neptune will be in Pisces in this specific eclipses for the next 18 years. These are part of Saros cycles, and they go in 18 plus year cycles. And so the last one was in 2007, and then 1989, and then back into 1971. I'm doing this off the top of my head. 1953 and 1935, 1917. These are all very specific dates, and I'm kind of elaborating on those on my blog at infinitynow.wordpress.com because they're all really important and relative to things that are in the news now. And of course, what goes around comes around. Now, I have drawn in all the extra aspects here. So really, Mars is in the 4th house in Cancer. It's all about food and safety and emotional safety and keeping the nest safe. And, Mars in Cancer kind of guards the family, guards women, protects the children, right? But it's kind of like we're staying at home, we're not really moving forward. So because Venus and Mercury are retrograde at this time, even though it is a new beginning, it is the last of these Aries Libra cycles as the nodes have moved now into Pisces Virgo. So Mercury enters Pisces a few hours after the eclipse at 10:18 p.m. That's Eastern Daylight Time, and taking us back into the dream time, right? It will be aligning with Neptune later the day at 10:47 p.m. Mercury conjunct Neptune, just as Venus was conjunct Neptune. So a double underlining energy here. This is what Venus and Mercury have been doing in a very unusual kind of hand in hand, following each other arrangement. So watch your dreams very carefully, especially on the solar eclipse. And remember, you must never, ever manifest anything during any eclipses at all. A solar eclipse is even more important because according to the Tibetan Buddhists, who know a thing or two about this stuff, they've been studying it very intensely for hundreds and hundreds of years, and their tradition is thousands of years old. Any positive or negative energies, entities, ideas, vibrations, words, deeds that happen during a total solar eclipse are magnified 1 million times. So you want to make sure you're just doing positive mantras, positive prayers for the world. Because there's so much Pisces energy, it's also about compassion. This force duality that's going on, look at your own shadow side. Whatever you're projecting out onto them is your own unowned shadow. Trust me, that's the hard stuff, but Saturn in Pisces is going to make you face it. Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius and Neptune and Mercury are in a sextile to each other. So kind of good to dig into these new ideas, kind of revolutionary ideas, freeing your mind up. You know, Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years, freeing our minds up, 19 years. And Pluto and Venus, Neptune, Mercury, let's say, are making what's called a finger of God formation. This formation here is sextile to 150-degree formation to the fixed star Regulus, which is at 0 degrees of Virgo. And this is the former star of Kings that's been in the sign of Leo for the last 2,100 years, but progressed into Virgo in about 2008, and that's why all the royals married commoners, and that's why the royals are all done. I did predict that Prince Charles or King Charles would die because of the last eclipse in Virgo, and I see he was taken to the hospital. But anyway, that energy, the finger of God, is where the energy is coming from. So I really strongly tune into the Archangel Regulus. He rules the heart, you know, courage, daring, strength. You have to be true to yourself. Now, that's what the coming Aquarian and air, fire signs are going to do. We're going to have to learn to connect with our own higher self and our own inner authority. Lilith at 0 degrees of Scorpio. I haven't had a chance to even write about her. Lilith rules Scorpio, and that's pretty obvious. The sign of sex, money, control, birth, death, transformation, lots of power. And she is sextiling that Regulus energy. And she is also in what's called a semi-sextile to Juno, my favorite goddess, at 1 degree of Sag. So they are, again, in a positive aspect to Pluto. Lilith is actually squaring Pluto, though. So there's this fight between the independent, dark feminine, struggling with the power of the patriarchy. Uranus at 24 degrees of Taurus. You can see there is, in a trine aspect, a positive aspect to the south node. Pluto is also in a trine. It's out of sign, but there's a trine there. And I have drawn in, there is a 6-pointed star in this chart. And I've drawn in these extra angles here, which are there. I've just made them more noticeable. So the 6-pointed star, which most people associate with the Jewish star, is a very ancient symbol of the balance of heaven and earth. From India, from Egypt, it's very ancient. You know, the Jewish people took all of this stuff from Egypt when they left, all their secrets. Yes, and there's talk about the Ark of the Covenant that the CIA discovered with remote viewers, and it's hidden away somewhere. But anyway, Athena, the goddess of strategy, she's at 13 Aquarius, and she is trining Jupiter at 15. Jupiter at 15 is on a very powerful degree. The 15th or middle degree of any sign is the strongest. Ceres, Saturn is trining Mars, so this is a good positive aspect to, again, tap into the wells in your dreams. My dreams have been very powerful, very lucid in the last while. I am going to sit and do mantras. I have a new beautiful mala, simple mala, that a friend of mine, another astrologer here in Sedona, gave to me because I wanted to have a mala to count, to do prayers, 108 beads, just like the Catholics do and the Muslims use 108 beads. It's the 9 times 9 magical numbers. So with Lilith in Scorpio, we're needing to excavate that dark feminine shadow, and the dark feminine is really the source of everything, and that's why it's so feared and tabooed. Actually, I just noticed that the South Node in Virgo and Chiron are also in conjunct. So there's some deep wounds, defenses that we don't really notice, but that are really hidden deep in the body, and we want to get in there and work with them. Okay, we want to work with releasing those things in the body, and the body never lies. Again, that sextile from Juno, the feminine form of genius. You know, we have in Canada, they have Juno Awards for musicians, but she's the feminine form of genius, and you can tap into her energy through Pluto and Aquarius right now. And so what's going to happen after the eclipse? Never a dull moment. Then Neptune, the big new era, starts on the 30th, with Neptune entering Aries at 5 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and noon in Greenwich Mean Time. And this is just the beginning of this intro. Like 2025 is really the appetizer, the intro year for all of the changes as all of the planets change signs for the first time altogether in 2,500 years. And then Neptune will retreat back into Pisces on October 22nd. You know, Saturn will also enter Aries on May the 24th, but also back out September the 1st. Jupiter enters one of its home signs, its exalted signs in Cancer on June the 9th, and Uranus will also enter Gemini on July the 7th, but also back out November the 7th. Everything seems to be very organized, right? And then in 2026 is the big change up year, right? So, yeah, that's a lot. So if you're feeling tired, it's all the watery planets. The song that came to me was Adele's song, Set Fire to the Rain. That seems to be the keyword for this eclipse, you know, so if you want to play that song to help you out. Also, the six-pointed star, again, bringing heaven down to earth. That is our manifest destiny, I would say right now. And tune into your stomach. You know, Mars in Cancer, you might want to eat comfort food. You may not want to leave your house. Traditionally, you're not supposed to look at an eclipse, actually. It won't be visible here where I am in Sedona, Arizona, but it'll be visible on the East Coast, and especially over Greenland. Greenland's been in the news, and the countries that see the eclipse fully are the ones that are the most effective. I believe the East Coast, Newfoundland, is also going to see it over Northern Europe as well. So even if you can't see it, you will certainly feel it. And again, the effects of the eclipse last for so many hours. You can turn into that on NASA. But you want to integrate things. You don't want to move too fast, because even though Aries is impulsive, it's like this push me, pull you, you know. Aries wants to go, go, go. And Pisces doesn't want to go anywhere. They just want to stay introverted and go within. So pay attention to those urges. You know, Aries can be very impulsive, so be careful that you don't jump in and do something without thinking about it too much. That's really the downside of Aries. But if you want to find out how all of this new energy is going to affect you, you can get a reading with me at tarottarot.com. And I'm going to be doing a free talk for Magicus University on the 30th at 11:35 in the morning. That's Pacific Daylight Time. My friend and colleague Patty Negri, the Good White Witch in LA, she's on Ghost Hunters, and another teacher is also going to be teaching, and it's free. And they're showcasing all the wonderful courses that they have, and I'm very excited to be their new astrologer. So please join me. I'm going to be talking about this new fiery spiritual age that hasn't happened since 1861 that they're entering now. So get in touch. I've got that advertised on Facebook. And then on Monday, on the 31st, I'm going to do my monthly live April astrology and tarot card preview for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. That's at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then on noon Greenwich Mean Time, that's on the 31st. So if you go to Facebook, Cosmic Intelligence Agency, you will see me there live. So sending you many blessings of the day. Lots of astrology stuff happening here in Sedona. Sending you many blessings. Okay, be well.